welcome to That British Homestead. My name's Nick. Today we're going to be looking through all of the things that we can sow in May. We've done it, we've got to May, which is very exciting. May is like decent spring. April's a little bit hit and miss spring, but now the last frost is gone, goodbye. And we're going to be doing loads of things like sowing out all of our plants, and we're going to be sowing loads of stuff. And if you're like me, your partner's nagging at you to have their kitchen, their garage, and probably most of their house back from plants. So this is the time that they've been fantasizing about, and we're so excited about. It is May, yes! So the first thing that you could be sowing in May is beans. And I know what you're thinking, oh, but we were growing beans all the way through the winter. Kind of, yes, they were broad beans. However, these are very exciting because these are frost tender beans. Oh yes. So there's two varieties of French bean that you can grow. One is a climbing bean and one is a bush bean. So we're going to start off with our climbing beans. These are climbing beans. They're from Suttons, which I never know how to say properly. Suttons. And these are a really cool variety because they are colourful, and that makes it really good. I think the purple ones, if you cook them, they do go ahead and go green from memory, but the yellow ones stay yellow, which is very exciting. So these germinate in about 7 days, which is very good. And you can have a variety growing in about July through to October, which is quite decent. So they'll be wiped off by the last frost. Here we've got another variety. This is a French climbing bean again, which is called Goldfield. Obviously this is the gold variety, which is very good. I got these from Simply Seeds. I think you get a ridiculous amount of seeds. I don't think they were particularly very expensive, which is really cool. 7 days to germination for these ones. These ones here are some French beans. I believe that they are a bush variety. I don't really remember. Oh, not to be sown outdoors before the 10th of May to avoid the risk of, yep. So these are a bush variety. As you can see, I got these from either Aldi or from Lidl, I can't remember. However, honestly, I always remember that story, you know, Jack and the Beanstalk, when that lady comes up to Jack and she's like, I'll swap you these cows for these beans, they're magical. I think if a lady came up to me and was like, oh, would you like to buy these beans? She wouldn't even have to tell me they're magical. I'd be like, yeah, of course. I love a new seed. How exciting. She'd be like, they're exactly the same as the 8 packs you already have. I'll be like, stop selling it. I've already said yes. As we all know, how many double packs do you have? Go on, let us know down below, because I have many double, because I'm like, oh, but they were cheaper by 5p. They're slightly different, I promise. So yeah, which way am I going? These ones, okay. Last but not least, these ones are, you can see, right? Obviously, these ones are completely different, yeah? Completely, utterly, unaccusably different, as you can see. So these ones have a bush variety, these ones are a climbing variety. They've both got red varieties, they've both got green varieties, and they've both got yellow varieties. So as you can tell, I needed both. They were on discount, so they're only £1 each, so what a bargain. So moving onwards and upwards. So something else that you can grow is rainbow radishes. I've lost the packet, but this is rainbow radishes, which is very exciting. They do not badly over winter either. I found out this year. That's quite exciting. Got to harvest for them nice and early. So these are beetroots. I absolutely love a pickled beetroot this time of year. I don't know what it is about early spring. I just love the pickles. So we've been eating them quite a few times with din-dins. These here are golden beetroots. One of my favourites is golden beetroot and the white beetroot variety, but I'll pretty much eat any beetroot. These ones are really lovely. They're really bright colour and quite shocking. I quite like these in salads, fresh, just peeled or roasted. They're really nice as well. This is called Avalanche, which is another variety. These ones are from Mega Seed Store, Simply Seeds. I buy seeds from everywhere, but these are quite a good variety because they're pretty decent and they're pretty cheap. Most of the Mega Store ones actually come with a seed coat on them. I'll see if this one does. which I really like. You see it does. I'm not sure what it does, but it does something. It helps with germination, and like I said, they're really, really cheap. And they stop them from rotting. Remember that the seeds that you sow out of a beetroot are clusters and not single seeds, so therefore you might get more germinated. I look for about 4 in a little cluster, and I plant them out all together, and I multi-sow them bad boys, and then I just twist out the largest one and leave the other ones to grow on. I've got some mystery ones that I've saved myself. Don't remember what of, but they do say beetroot, so I'm assuming that they're beetroot. There's ones called Border, which I think is a red variety, but I can't really remember. Red's my favourite for pickle, by the way. I've got another one called Chigara, which is a candied beetroot. Okay, so this candied beetroot is like stripy, which is very exciting. That one's really good, although if you're going to ferment it, it does lose its colour and go a little bit grey, which is less appealing, but it still tastes fine. And this is how I start off my beetroot journey. I start off with a multi-pack. This is a good way of getting like a good mix of beetroots before you're ready to commit to individual packets. This one I think is from Wilkinson's. Wilkinson's have good stuff and they're really cheap, so I tend to go there. There's a Wilkinson's everywhere, isn't there? It's like every single like large shopping centre has its own Wilkinson's, so it's really quite convenient. Okay, so as the weather gets a little bit warmer, we can move into lots more brassicas, which are terribly exciting, I do know. So we've got quite a lot of brassicas to go through, so let's have a little looky-loo. Oh, before we do though, last but not least, on the old beetroot front, we have Swiss chard. I love Swiss chard. I really think that the branches are very, very, very nice to look at. And what I do is before they get too big, I like to use them in stir fries and things to like liven up the look of your stir fry. However, the leaves, I find them really good to feed chickens because they make the eggs like super orange, which is nice. You can use them as a spinach substitute, which is nice. Very, very little ones, like baby Swiss chard, I like to use in salads, which are very nice. Okay, the next thing I like to have, because when you're growing your own food, you've got to think months in advance, whereas like as a normal human being, we kind of don't look too far in advance unless you've got like a holiday coming up sometime soon and you're like, right, I need to do this, that and that for the holiday. But when you're growing your own vegetables, you need to think like, okay, it is now spring, I want to eat pickled beetroot, pickled cabbage and things like that. However, I know that in the winter, I'd really, really like to eat some swede, even though right now, if you say the word swede, I feel slightly nauseous because I've eaten so much of it over winter. So I'm going to go ahead and plant these for a November, December, January and February harvest, which is quite exciting. Okay, it's important that I have these for that long then period. I'll be sowing these all the way up until June. Okay, so that I have at least one every week until the end of that period. Okay, because we use them all the time. We mash them up with carrots, we put them into stews, pies, you name it. We eat a lot of swedes, probably about one swede a week until it gets to about now where it starts to warm up. Another thing we're going to grow, so this one is called Invitation and this one is called Marion, which is another swede variety. You can sow that right up until the end of June. They're very slow growing, so I always thought, when I started growing, I always thought that cold crops, swede, all your brassicas basically, okay, potatoes, everything that I assume that I would want to eat in the winter, I always thought that you grew them in the winter. And I had terrible, terrible luck with all of this sort of stuff because I used to sow them in the winter. Like I used to sow them at the very end of summer and expect them to sprout and do wonders over winter, but they obviously just waited until the spring and then they flowered. So I find that was something that was a big learning curve for me. Another thing that I'm going to grow is cauliflower. Once again, I love cauliflower for the winter. We eat a lot of cauliflower cheese over the winter, probably about once a week with our roast dinners. However, in the summer it's really good piccalilli. Also, we like to enjoy it as rice, so cauliflower rice, so that it isn't like a big whole thing. When you're eating a very heavy dinner when it's so hot, you can have cauliflower rice instead, which is very exciting. Another thing that we do rely on heavily in the winter is Brussels sprouts. So we have our early variety of Brussels sprouts. We kind of start harvesting them around about November, and we eat them all the way up until about this time where all the brassicas go to flower. And the last sort of harvest you get is the Brussels top. Well, we're going to sow some more of these so that we have them for the hungry gap, which is very important. This is the last sort of hurrah that you can do, growing Brussels sprouts, so that you have them for the hungry gap, which is about nowish time, all the way up until like the end of May. Moving deeper and darker into brassica territory. I am going to apologise in advance of how I pronounce these names because I'm awful at it. So this one here is Deaden. It is a beautiful variety. It's a green cabbage with a purple blush to it. My partner absolutely loves purple cabbage. We eat it all the time. In the winter, we'll have it like boiled and possibly as like a side dish along with roasts and things like that. In this time of year, we have a lot of it in coleslaws. Throughout the summer, we'll have it as coleslaw. We'll also have it as sauerkraut. We like it as a dish. I don't know what this is called, but we've kind of like, you know when you go to a kebab shop, right, and you have that purple cabbage, and the kebab it's like chopped cabbage, it's been like crunched like sauerkraut with salt and lemon juice. We make that dish all the time. It's really fab, and we have that as like a healthy alternative to go into the kebab, which is probably much worse when we roast meat or whatever, we saute meat, etc. to have with it, and we have it in wraps. We love that. So we have that quite a lot, and these are the sort of cabbages that we grow for that in mind. Also sauerkraut, I think I've said that, and we want to start canning some coleslaw for overwinter as well, which is very exciting. Here we have a corded blue grosso, which is a conical cabbage similar to our greyhound and our April that we grew over winter. Whenever I see these ones, it reminds me of spring greens, which I couldn't bear as a child. But these are really tasty, really good cabbages, and they also store pretty decently. You just go ahead and chuck them on a shelf, and the outer leaves will go yellow and go all manky and gross, but the actual cabbage itself is beautiful. So that's very exciting. This one will be harvest in September, so it's perfect for putting in the garage for later consumption over winter time. This one too is one that you would be a summer variety. You go ahead and harvest it about September, which is very exciting. This cabbage is called, what did you say it was? Cuppa banga. How'd you say it, Bob? Copenhagen. What's that place called?
Where?
Copenhagen.
Yeah.
This one's called Copenhagen Market, which is very exciting. I got it for 10p. Yay! It is a lovely green variety. I've never grown this one before, but I'm hoping it's good. It's number 2 variety, which is lovely. It's like the Paris market. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, which is exciting. I think it only goes up to 3 actually. But yeah, in about a month this will be germinating, and like I said, it will be in September that it's able to be harvested. The exciting thing about this is that it will give us something to eat over winter. So this one is another green variety. This one is called Brassica, which I'm sure goes over the word Brassica, which is a winter cabbage. The winter cabbage is in September or October that it can be harvested. So this is another variety that will be really good for storing over winter. So talking about red varieties, this is a lovely red variety. We do quite a lot of red cabbages over the time period. This one's called Rue Crop, which is a red variety, like I said, sowing it now, and we're going to be harvesting that around about September. So I believe that this is a summer cabbage. It's important to have cabbages that are like every few weeks being able to harvest. I think this one's particularly beautiful and it's going to be exciting. Are you excited about the red cabbages, Bob? Mm-hmm. He's got a massive, massive mouthful of chocolate, as you can see. Bob?
I'm not listening.
You're not listening. That's nice. So these are two of my favourite cabbages. Last but not least, we've got Savoy cabbage, which is super exciting. I just think this is so beautiful. I love this one as like a boiled cabbage. As you can see, it is super beautiful. Now you can overwinter this, which is very exciting. So leave it in the ground, and we'll be sowing it now. It's a very long day cabbage, so it'll be December, January, February, and March that we'll get this, which is when we want our boiled cabbage. And don't you think it's beautiful? So beautiful. So yeah, I'm very excited about this. You do need to give it a lot of space, but it's pretty exciting for that. So we're going to have lovely cabbages this year. Okay, so last but not least, actually last but probably my favourite out of all of the cabbages. I think I might have eaten this fresh, but in soups and stuff. Or it's like mixed in after the soup's complete, but it's pretty much my favourite thing in the world. Well, it is a Chinese cabbage. This one is called Nansiki, which is a cool variety. These are not good overwintering. I learned that this year. They do not like the frost. Just bear that in mind. But if I sow this now, I could have a harvest as soon as next month. And what I will do is I'll sow all 35 of these bad boys, and then I will chop them and make kimchi with them. I love kimchi. The only issue with kimchi is that when I bring it to work, everyone complains that it smells bad, but I love it. I think it's really, really yummy, and it has a power centre. It just looks really good, and like I said, it's fab in every way. And what I'll do is I'll keep some of this, and as kimchi even, I'll put it into soups and stews, and so kind of mix it all together. Fermented food is super, super good for you, and it's really, really important to eat that to make sure that you are improving your microbiome. What I say to Jasmine, it's good for your poo-poos. Ow, my eyes. Okay, so moving onwards and upwards. This one doesn't really have a category, so I'm just going to go ahead and put it here. Asparagus. As you probably remember, I grew all my asparagus from seed. This is the first year that I'm actually harvesting an asparagus, which is exciting stuff. But here you have the asparagus that I've grown, that I will be growing, and I have a load of seeds in there, and I'm probably going to sow all of them. Okay, it's 3 years into a harvest. So for example, I'm harvesting the stuff that I grew 3 years ago. I have some that I sowed last year that are going to go into beds this year, and then it'll be another year, and then I'll be taking them out, and then these will go in there. You see what I mean? And it's like constantly adding to it. This is a very cheap way of getting asparagus instead of getting crowns, because think about it, you buy them now, next year they're going to be 1 year old crowns. So then you put them in and then you leave them for a little while and then they'll harvest. So they're not that much slower than actual crowns, which are super, super expensive. And you can't harvest them the first year, can you? More the second year, I don't remember. I don't really use those very much. So the next thing we're going to be able to sow is carrots. As you know, we've grown a terrible amount of carrots this year. You've got rainbow carrots, you've got purple haze carrots, black nebula carrots, fly away. I sowed them yesterday. Yes, yesterday I sowed those. So you can grow terrible amounts of carrots. So the ones that I'm looking at is Red Samurai. Love this variety. They are very good in salads. You also want a good storer. I think Yellowstone stores very, very well. And you've also got these carrots. These carrots are Dracula Carrota. How cool is that? And these ones I got from my vegetable advent calendar, which was the best buy because I keep getting things sprinkled throughout the year that I can go ahead and grow. So it's very exciting. I went ahead and overwintered a load of carrots in my bed. I don't think I'll do that again because well, it was -6, so you can't really. It wasn't a good year, was it? Right, now the whole category. So this is all the herbs that I'm going to go ahead and grow. I do grow a load of stuff from seed. The one thing I don't have here is my what's it called, is marshmallow, which I've left in the fridge because I've got to have at least 1 month of cold stratification for them to be able to germinate. So I've gone ahead and done that. That is another 3 years for that harvest, but then I get homemade marshmallows. One thing we're going to grow is sage. I've grown this from seed before. You've seen my sage plant, which is getting quite sizable. This sage plant came from seed. I've grown it from seed, so it's possible and exciting. So that is a very exciting way of getting it. Cheaper plants. Also, it is very good to burn and things like that. Sage is very nice smelling. Fennel is a variety of plant that we use sometimes. It has like a anise sort of flavour. I love star anise, so it is very nice. This one is called defrizzle, which is nice. I've dried it as well and powdered it, so that comes up in recipes. I'll have it. Coriander, I've overwintered this coriander and it got down to -6. It had snow on it and it's still alive, which is madness. This is from my advent calendar again, which was a wonderful present. And I've got over 100 seeds there. Another thing is chicory. I like growing chicory and then forcing it during the winter, so we have some like bittersweet leaves for over then. Dill is so important to us. Luckily, I have 600 dill seeds. So dill is really important to us because we use it in canning. I love dill pickles. So we're going to grow an absolute ton of this so that we can have dill from next month onwards. I will dry it and I'll keep it for fish sauce and most importantly those pickles. So this is lemon basil. I've never grown this before, but I've grown basil, which is exciting. So we'll go ahead and grow that, and what I do is all of the herbs that I grow, I dry them and I mix them up in big batches so that we can use them throughout the seasons. I haven't bought dried herbs or fresh herbs in years, probably about 5-6 years, which is very good. So I just go ahead and grow a whole bunch together and then I dry it, so that's exciting. And you can just dry it by hanging it on, what's it called, string by your windows to get nice air circulation. And I do that. I must drive everyone insane because I dry them out all the way through the winter, all the way through the summer, and I do that with mushrooms as well. So you can imagine what my house is like. I remember one year we had all of these herbs dry and we had chilies drying, and then we had this huge pig leg which was cured that you hang from the ceiling, and anyone that came around, they were just like, what is this? Funny stuff. Okay, so this is red basil. As you see, it's very, very pretty. I've grown that. It is nice. It does like colour dishes and make them look interesting. This is Thai basil, which I will be using as well. Like I said, I like to use a big variety. We harvest loads of basil, loads of tomatoes, and we make all of our own tomato sauce. This is one of the things that since I've been growing my own vegetables, I've never bought chopped tomatoes or pasta sauce. We make it all from ourselves. I think I have about 12 jars of pasta sauce left, which is perfect because very, very soon we're going to go ahead and harvest our own, and there's nothing better than bolognese made from your own fresh tomatoes. The second best would be the canned tomatoes. Mustard is another good thing. It gives a little bit of a bite to a salad. I quite like having these leaves in a sandwich, etc., but I really like the seeds so that I can do honey roasted ham in the winter month. Apple mint is a great variety. We've just made a load of rhubarb and mint pie filling, and we put it in the garage for storage for over the winter, so we have that. And this mint is going to be terribly exciting for that. I love mint, apple mint particularly. Chives, I'm going to grow a whole load of more chives. We love chives, especially when we don't have very many onions available. Great in soups and stuff like that to add, and it's a good variety for if you have any issues with your onions one year, chives to the rescue, which is very exciting. We do have a load of stuff that we can continue growing from last year, like from last month, like squashes, apples, etc. Now, I'm not going to go through that again today, but I'm going to go ahead and leave a link for that down below if you're interested. But some of the squashes that we are growing is a muskmelon. We're doing loads and loads of pickles. We're doing several types of cucumber, including lemon cucumber, telegraph, which is an English cucumber. We've got blue prince squash. We've got a sweet potato squash, mashed potato squash, baked potato squash, we've got spaghetti squashes, we've got tons and tons and tons of stuff that are already in. In fact, they're over the greenhouse getting ready to be planted out. Tomatoes is another thing that probably a bit too late, but you can go ahead and sow out. So let's talk flowers. We've got loads and loads and loads and loads of these. Sunflowers are one of my favourite flowers. So we've got red ones, we've got black ones, we've got purple ones, we've got literally you name it. These are giant ones, don't know why they're not out already. Sweet William, this packet always makes me itchy. That's a very exciting variety. I haven't had much hope going ahead and sowing these, but we'll try again. These ones as well, called Fair Lady Assorted. These are wallflowers. I've never knew that wallflower, because you say like, oh, she's a wallflower, but she didn't dance with anyone. I never knew that they were an actual thing, so that's exciting, isn't it? So we'll have a go at them. They were 10p, look, can't say no to that. Now, we get forget-me-nots given out at a road safety thing, and I was like, wow, I'm excited about them. 2 varieties of them, because I think I was given these by somebody. I was given these by somebody as well. So these are forget-me-nots. Forget-me-nots will always remind me of my grandma, because my grandma had like a whole bed of forget-me-nots, because they kind of creep everywhere, don't they? And they always make me smile when I see them and think of my nan. So these are called Indigo, and these ones are just road safety forget-me-nots. So they are very exciting. So I'm really hoping that the sound is working this time, and I definitely have pressed record. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. And if you haven't done already, please consider subscribing, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye. Right, take 3. First one didn't have sound. Second time I didn't press record. I don't know how many times I have to do this. Right. Ow, my eyes. Behave. I'm very well behaved.